Hello everybody and welcome back to LRN. Today we are asking the question, should Mattia Binotto be removed from his position at Scuderia Ferrari following another dreadful weekend for the Ferrari team where awful strategic decisions cost them any positions on the podium and what should have been a race win, in my opinion. So we're going to look at some comments coming out from the media, specifically from Ralf Schumacher, who's come out and said, I already see him in danger during the summer break. So questioning the fact, will he actually even make it past the summer break? Will the Hungary Grand Prix be the last time we see Mattia Binotto as the principal of the Ferrari team? And he went on to comment, if you get a gift like this, being able to drive for the World Championship, and then you endangered it and throw it away, that's already bitter. Now, obviously, that's making comments towards the the Ferrari fan base and the Ferrari hierarchy that must be looking at this and questioning what is going on. Clearly, things are not right at Ferrari. They finally have a car that can compete for race wins, and they're not doing it. They're getting every decision, it feels like at the moment, wrong, and they are costing themselves a chance at an F1 World Championship, and they are handing it to Red Bull. Christian Horner asked live on air, are their competition handing them the championship this season? His response was, are we live? He obviously didn't comment on it too much. He complimented his own team for how they are delivering week in, week out on their own decisions, their own strategies, and they are getting race wins. And of course, you know, props has to go for Red Bull and Max Verstappen coming from 10th to win the race. Phenomenal performance from him. But the focus has to be on Ferrari and their failure to get even a single driver on the podium from such a strong position. And I think it was going wrong from the first lap. They've completely messed it up from the first lap. Before we get into any further, though, if you are new around here, please do make sure to subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. And yeah, every subscription really helps build the channel and help it grow. We're all about F1 opinion here, so do make sure to get in the comments as well. Let me know your thoughts on the recent Ferrari performances and why you think they've been falling away as badly as they have, despite the car that they have underneath them. Now, what I'm going to get to now is Binotto specifically. So obviously pressure's growing on him. Obviously that you can expect the Tifosi, the F1, the Ferrari fan base, the passionate Ferrari fan base, you have to expect that they're going to be putting pressure onto Binotto and the Ferrari team to make a decision, to do something to change their fortunes, because it does look like it's in their hands. It's not that they don't have the quickest car. We've had previous seasons, we've had the issues where they had the quickest car and then the regulation changed to really impact the how quick their engine was, because they'd found a way around the regulations, and that massively hit their performance, so they couldn't compete that season. That was their opportunity to go and win a title in previous years. But this is it. This is the first time we've had a Ferrari on the grid that is purely on performance, the best, if not equal best car on the grid on pure pace. Obviously, you could argue that with Red Bull, and it has been a bit track dependent, but you know, on pace, you have to at least put them even with Red Bull over the course of this season. I purely put it down to strategic decisions why they are not able to compete with Red Bull and even Mercedes to a certain extent in a much lesser car, at least from a strategy decision point of view, have kept themselves in the conversation just by being such a strong outfit, showing Ferrari what's possible if you just get your decisions right, if you're in the right place, ready to take the opportunities as they come. And it just doesn't seem like Ferrari have that. And I think for Binotto to come out and state that, so I'll quote him here, based on our data and our analysis, we knew the hard was not as fast as the medium, but it could have been as fast 11 laps into the stint. Yes, it didn't work, and we would not have fitted them had we known they would be as bad. Now, let's be absolutely clear here. Every single fan watching that race knew how bad the hard tyre was. Alpine had shown everybody how bad the hard tyre was. They went onto the hard tyre with Ocon and Alonso to try and compete with the McLarens, and it turned out to be a terrible decision. They couldn't get any temperature in the tyres. There was no grip. It was like they were running on wets at the beginning. It was crap. You had Martin Brundle talking about how the tyre was completely rubbish for half the commentary. And yet Ferrari, with all of their money, all of their resources, couldn't figure that out. It didn't make any sense whatsoever. It was like they all sat around a breakfast table. You're looking at everyone around you. There's milk and there's orange juice on the table. Everyone's got the cornflakes. And what do? They see everyone pouring milk in, everyone enjoying it. And it's great, right? You see everyone's really enjoying their milk and their cereal. But then they see one guy over there. He goes and has the orange juice on his cornflakes, don't know what he's doing, and he finds it absolutely disgusting. So what do Ferrari do? They copy him. They go, that looks like a great idea. Or let's just ignore his reaction, the clear reaction that it's disgusting. I'm going to try that one first because everyone else having a great time, maybe they've missed something. Let's focus on that guy. It made no sense. Everyone could see, every fan could see that the medium tyre and the soft was the way to go. Now, I will point out that they'd already shot themselves in the foot at the beginning of the race by running from the mediums at the beginning. And because they picked the mediums, the final pit stop had to be the hard tyre or the soft tyre. But what they did with Carlos Sainz, of course, was run him long on the mediums and put him to the softs. And the fact is, they needed to do that with Leclerc. Yes, they could have and should have run the soft tyre from the beginning of the race, but you can argue that maybe they may not have known that at the beginning. They could have an argument for why they started on the medium tyre. They didn't realise how the fact that the soft would run actually as long as the medium. The medium seemed to deteriorate quite quickly as well, but people were obviously covering each other off. But the fact is that running that medium tyre took away a lot of opportunities for them at the beginning. I think that they got it wrong in not fighting George Russell straight away. It seemed like they just sat behind him. They clearly had the pace in the car to overtake the Mercedes. They proved that later on in the race. But it seemed like from the very beginning, all they were focused on is George Russell. He was the one in front of them. He's all that they could see. So they just looked at him. They had no idea about Verstappen flying through the field behind them, still within 10 seconds after quite a few laps. So clearly not out of the running for the race. And they should know by now that Verstappen is the threat to their race win. But they just sat there focused on George Russell. I don't understand it. They just had no concept of the fact that Russell was not their race. They needed to get past him. They needed to give their drivers the just permission to go and fight Russell from the first lap and get past him and focus on their own strategy, build the gap out to Verstappen, and then they could make more informed pit stop decisions, you'd hope, given the poor strategy calls that they've been making. I just cannot fathom how they've managed to get by as far as they have with the strategy team that they've got and Binotto at the helm. It doesn't seem to be working. Someone needs to be held accountable for what's going on. It just, Binotto seems like the kind of guy that will go up to an ATM. The guy in front of him walks up, puts his card in, card gets eaten. Binotto watches that and goes, he's done it wrong. I'll show him how to do it. Walks up, puts his card in, gets eaten, and he can't understand why his card's been eaten as well. Because he just doesn't get it. The Ferrari team, and he has to take responsibility for this. He is the team principal. He has eyes on. He's in charge of hiring and firing. So the people he's put in charge, he is there. He has to be held accountable for the decisions that are being made. And it isn't good enough. He could easily see, if me as an F1 fan, and you, I'm sure, as an F1 fan, could see how poor the hard tyre was as a decision, how could they not see it? How could they not see that, at least, given what they'd already done, running the medium to medium, run it long? It clearly had the longevity to do it. Hamilton had shown the longevity in the medium tyre as well. Run it long, go on the softs, give yourself a fighting chance, and at least get a podium at that stage of the Grand Prix. But no, they chuck it away, they run the hards, and they had no pace whatsoever. They just threw it away, which I can't understand. But my point of view is someone needs to be held accountable. I'm not in favour of anyone losing their job. It's a horrible thing to ask for, but someone needs to be held accountable. Changes need to be made. Maybe just bring someone in, a proven strategist in the world of F1 who can help Ferrari make the decisions needed to bring Ferrari back in contention for the championship, or at least make the rest of the season exciting. As an F1 fan, we need competition at the front of the grid, and right now we've got the car there to have the competition, Ferrari versus Red Bull, with Mercedes coming in behind, but we do not have the ability in that team to make it work. And it isn't good enough. It's not good for the sport. And it isn't good enough for Ferrari, the biggest name in the sport, to be making these kind of errors. It just isn't. And if you had someone with the strength of mind of an Enzo Ferrari, if he was still around, you know full well he wouldn't be accepting of this, that people's heads would be rolling and people would be out of a job, because this is the season they needed to go and make it work. And they haven't. So I can't understand it. I think, Binotto to come out and say that they couldn't have done anything, that a race win wasn't on the cards, is just ridiculous. Anyone with any knowledge of Formula One could see that there were ways for Ferrari to win that. Obviously, running the mediums from the beginning was a massive handicap for them, but at the same time, other people made it work and made it work better. I just can't understand it. But as I say, let me know in the comments below what you thought. Do you think Binotto needs to be held accountable? Do you think that he should be coming out and saying that, there was no way to win that race? Or do you think he should just be admitting they got it wrong, they should have won the race, they should have performed better, and they're going to have to make better decisions moving forward? Because every time he kind of says, yeah, it wasn't good enough, he always comes with a but we couldn't really do any better, but we didn't know, we couldn't have known, nothing, there's no fault on our shoulders, really. It isn't good enough, and you chuck in the mistakes that Charles Leclerc has been making as well, and it all compounds itself. But the facts are, if the people on the wall during the F1 Grand Prix for Ferrari were making the right decisions, regardless of Charles Leclerc's errors and Sainz's terrible start to the season when it didn't seem like he could even finish a race, they would be there fighting Red Bull for the championship right now. They'd be there or thereabouts, and it isn't good enough. So, as I say, let me know in the comments below what you think. Do you think that he should retain his job? Do you think that changes need to be made at Ferrari? Do you think that the pressure should be growing on his position, or at the very least hirings need to be made into that Ferrari team for specialists that understand how F1 strategy works? Because right now it just doesn't seem to be the case. I'm certainly unhappy about it. I say I'm not a specific fan of Ferrari, but I want them to do well for the sport. I want to see a championship fight in the drivers and the constructors that goes to the end of the season. That is my focus, and the fact that we're not going to get that because of poor decision making on the wall of Ferrari is poor. It's pathetic, and that it needs to be improved. But they're my thoughts. Please let me know yours in the comments below. Really interested to hear what you think, and we'll see if they can improve into the rest of the season, and we'll see what the rest of silly season during the summer break brings us. But say, if you are new around here, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. Let me know any thoughts you have in the comments below, and yeah, stick around. Make sure you hit that bell icon to be notified of any future uploads. Whenever any big news comes, we'll be reacting to it on this channel, so make sure you're around to see it when that goes live. But otherwise, guys, I just thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great day.